Hello everybody, the Lawn Gnome is here.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Today we're going to talk about one of the movies that I really wasn't anticipating, even with the most incredible marketing campaign and trailers that I had seen, but based on what so many of my colleagues here on YouTube were saying about this film, I had to go see this movie, come hell or high water, and that of course was Mad Max Fury Road. Once again, George Miller, rightfully so, takes the helm to direct the fourth installment of his cult post-apocalyptic thrill ride, the Mad Max series, of course starring Mel Gibson back then, but this time we get Tom Hardy, Charlize Theron, Nicholas Hoult, and for all of you cult fans out there, Hugh Keys-Byrne playing Immortan Joe, the main antagonist, and for all of you Divergent fans, Zoe Kravitz playing one of Immortan Joe's wives. I have to say that I'm not really one for action movies, especially when it's action that drives the plot, but everybody was saying that this movie is something you just have to witness because it just looks so bombastic and gargantuan. That's exactly how I felt when I was seeing these trailers. And how do I best describe my feeling throughout at least 95% of this movie? I felt as if my eyeballs shot into the back of my head, and then my skeleton leapt out of my body and started beating me on the head with my intestines to Run to the Hills by Iron Maiden. Hence the reason why I'm wearing my Iron Maiden shirt. This movie, its biggest strong point has to be its production value. First of all, with George Miller coming back to direct it, when all of these movies that are now being recreated, re-envisioned, especially with a perfect example like Evil Dead, when the original crew and the brainchilds come back to produce a movie, then there's a very good chance that it is not going to be bad. George Miller is no exception. This movie is a high-octane, in-your-face, beautifully crafted, action-packed thrill ride. The cars, the lighting, the color palette, the cinematography, no shaky cam, the makeup, the acting, it was all one massive fireball of win. I just was amazed with what I watched. And the best part about it was, even though there were some special effects, especially the sandstorm scene, which you do see parts of in the trailer, it's just amazing that they really scaled back a little bit and didn't use that much CGI, especially when you were getting the up-close looks at some of these vehicles. I loved the cars. I wish that I could trick out a car to something like one of those cars. I loved all the gizmos and doodads and the bones for levers and the skulls on the steering wheel, the chains, the hooks, everything primitive. And the acting itself didn't necessarily have to be the best because this movie is called Mad Max. Everybody in this movie is certifiably insane. So much to the fact that you really can't keep a proper dialogue going because nobody really knows how to spell and pronounce words correctly anymore because their brains have all been shot to hell. It's also not necessarily a movie you need to see the first 3 for. I mean, quite frankly, I would like to go and see them because now that I've seen one of the Mad Max films, it would be nice to actually see a cult classic that is truly ahead of its time because those first 3 movies came out in 1979, 1981, and 1985, respectively. The cast was very well chosen. I thought that even though Tom Hardy really wasn't the main focus, even though the movie is called Mad Max, it really is Charlize Theron as Furiosa that just steals this show. But then again, she steals every show. She's a fantastic actress. And Nicholas Hoult did an absolutely amazing job as the crazy lunatic boy child Nux. I really appreciated what he was in this film, and I really appreciated the way that the story drove his character, because he was a real true embodiment of madness turned sensible. That's the best way to describe Nux in this movie. Even the score just drives this movie. Junkie XL has done great work with so many projects, recently Divergent, and he'll be working on the Batman vs. Superman Dawn of Justice. I really appreciate the work that he also did with one of the Spider-Man soundtracks as well. I liked the fact that it had the classic musical score, but then the scenes with the guy playing the guitar guitar, like he looked like a member of Slipknot. You've seen him in the trailer. That's when they kick in the guitars. When you see these people banging on these heavy drums, the drums kick in. It was just beautifully crafted. I would not be surprised if this movie gets a ton of nominations for all of the production that went into it. However, there were two major things that truly killed this movie from getting the perfect score. I'm not a flat-out action kind of guy. I don't necessarily like to lose my mind for 2 hours when watching a movie. I'm the type of guy that wants something with substance, and the problem with Mad Max is there was so much room for substance. It wouldn't have taken away from anything that made this movie a true visual spectacle, but why couldn't you just put a little bit more character development into some of these characters? Because there was so much mystery that revolved around Max. I didn't understand those voices in his head. Let me know in the comment box if it had to do something with the past movies about him failing somebody, but I would have liked to see a little bit more depth in the characters and maybe a little bit more depth in the story. Now, granted, I understood that there were oil wars, there were water wars, and that Immortan Joe is this big dictator that basically governs these crazy people with giving them the water, and also with the thing that he did with the wives to constantly breed an army for him, but it was all just a big mess in terms of plot drive and development, and that's kind of a big thing for me as a moviegoer. I mean, I really like a good driving story. And the other thing that I really think is a big minus for this film is the fact that everything that is wonderful about this movie, unless you see this movie on the big screen again, you will never get those feelings back, because you'll be watching these amazing car chases and action sequences that you would never believe, and yet you'll be watching it like on a 32-inch screen, 40-inch screen, maybe a 60-inch plasma if you're lucky. It's just not the same on a small screen. So I don't think I will ever get this movie on DVD, and I probably will never watch it because I just don't see myself enjoying it in the privacy of my own home as I did when I was watching it on a big screen in theaters. It is definitely one of my favorite movie-going experiences. Sometime down the road, I may actually do a 10 for 12 of the 10 best theater-going experiences, and this one will definitely be on the top 10. Was it a good and enjoyable movie? It was good, and it was enjoyable, but it wasn't one of those great movies that I classify as one of those truly great movies. It was better than the Avengers Age of Ultron. That's one thing that I will say in terms of production value and everything else. If you do not see this movie on the big screen, you are missing out. See it in a matinee. See it for full price. See it in IMAX 3D. I saw it in 3D. I loved the 3D production that went into this movie. It just wasn't that perfect package for me. But I am so glad that I did what everybody else on YouTube was talking to me about, and I did go and see it on the big screen and had a blast. Mad Max Fury Road is going to get 3 out of 4 from me. So thank you very much for watching, everybody. Please put your comments in the box below, especially all of you who I've seen your reviews for Mad Max Fury Road, because you all absolutely adored it. And I'll see you all in the next one. Actions speak louder than words.